Namanda, 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 namanda.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Welcome to our Gotan E service, which I'm sure Reverend Dennis will fill us in a little bit more about the Shinran Shonin's birthday, which we're celebrating today. We'll start this morning's service with the reading of the Hyobyakumo, followed by the Sanbutsuge on page 24-25. Sanbujo.
Shoshinye.
Oh, that's
Namanda, namanda, namanda. We are gathered together here at our temple for this Gotan E service
to celebrate the birthday of our founder, Shinran Shonin, who was born on May 21st, 1173, in the village of Hino. It is due to the birth of the Shonin that we are able to receive the teachings that enable us to transcend the realm of birth and death. As fellow friends and followers of the Buddha Dharma, we vow to walk the great way of indebtedness and gratitude. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda.
We'll now have the sutra chanting Shoshinge on page 33. Jodo Gassho Dainehan Ishi Metsudo Ganjoju Nyorai Sho Iko Shuse Yui Setsu Mida Ongankai Gojoku Akuji Bunjo Kai Oshi Nyorai Nyo Jitsukon No Ichinen Ki Aishin Budan Bon no Tokunehan Bonjo Gyaku Hosai Enyu Nyoshu Shinyu Kai Ichimi Seshu Shinko Joshogo Ino Suiha Mumyoan Tonnai Shinzo Shiunmu Jofu Shinjitsu Shinjinten Inyo Nikko Fuunmu Gunmu Shige Myomuan Gyaku Shinken Kyo Daikyo Ki Soku O Chozetsu Go Hakushu Issai Zen Maku Bonbu Ni Monshin Yorai Guzegan Butsugon Kodai Shogesha Zenin Myo Fundari Kemira Butsuhongan Nembuts Jagen Kyoman Nakushujo Shingyo Juji Jininan Nanshu Shinan Mukashi Indo Saiten Shuidonge Chukaji Chiki
教祖、現代小公摂小医、明如来音税要記、釈迦如来両合戦、一種五明南天寺、龍十大寺出頭世、質の財派無無限、先絶大丈夫情報、召喚記事小安楽、賢治南行六六、新行異行指導楽、北年二打仏本願、次年即時入筆上、唯の上昇如来語、応報大偶税音、天神菩薩造論説、奇妙無下公如来、越衆たら見真実、後世の頂大世間、こういう本願力栄光、異道群上昇一心、記入六大崩壊、筆逆入大へ収集、特使蓮華造世界、即昇信用法精進、入門の人間人図、入所自音自用下、本地論乱両天地、超高乱超菩薩来、三蔵ルシ十条教、本上宣教気楽法、天神菩薩論中下、王道因果見理祭、王言猫ゆたり、少女死因類新人、惑前本部新人没、生じ即涅槃、一子無量光明道、小無修上回復系、当社結晶道南小、唯名浄土活入、安全自力縁言修、円満特合感染症、三不三神経音言、増末法滅動因、一生増悪地偶税、死安如来、称名化。全道独名仏性意、公愛上三行逆悪、公明明語見人年、海入本願大智慧、行者少女今後心、狂気一年相互、用意大と逆三人、即小小子上ら、現人公開一代表、返帰安養管理祭、先祖修身安全人、法華二道小弁流、極重悪人唯小物、我薬剤摂取中、 煩悩諸言随不言大無限上昇が本次元苦行仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書講演集戦弱音楽悪性現代生自輪伝下決知義上一生死即入弱上無意楽一致新人に導入苦行大自主死と上際無縁奥上苦悪同族自主苦道心有意化心死高層説南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀南無 Namo Amidanbu. Na Gedatsu no Kourin Kiwamonashi Kousoku Kamuru Ono wa mina umuhanaru no nobetamo yodo ukaku ni kimyo seyo. Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Isai no ugeni sawari nashi kotaku kamuranu monozonaki nanji Kimyo seyo. Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu. Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu, Namo Amidanbu. Namo Amidanbu. Shoujo koumyo narabi nashi gushi yo. Kan-ni-shi-ku no-ku Jodo-se isai do-hotu-mo daishin ojo andago. Namanda, 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 namanda.
Please stand for the Gatha Nembutsu one on page 169, and then remain standing for the three treasures on page 8.
Three treasures number 1. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One, now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be free from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teachings. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Please be seated.
Now we will have a Dharma message by Reverend Dennis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
Yeah, nice to be back at my home temple here. So appreciate seeing everybody here. So today is our annual Gotan E service, and to honor the birth of our founder Shinran Shonin. So Gotan E is a very important service. It gives us the opportunity to be reminded of his life, his personality, and his efforts, and then how this temple comes to mean something to me, what Buddhism means to me. Okay. So please join me in Gassho. Let me read this quote. For the foolish and ignorant who are ever sinking in birth and death, the multitude turning in transmigration. It is not attainment of unexcelled, incomparable fruit of enlightenment that is difficult. The genuine difficulty is true and trusting. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda. Okay, so in this quote, Shinran Shonin is saying that enlightenment is not the difficulty in our practice of Buddhism, okay? Practicing the Nembutsu path. And what is truly difficult, most difficult, is accepting the Nembutsu. Okay? The genuine difficulty is true and trusting. So when we recite the Nembutsu, oftentimes we're not so sure. How does this stuff work? Right? How does it work? What does it mean? Is it supposed to transport us somewhere when we are ready, or what does it work? And so we have reservations as to how it's supposed to function, right? We have hesitation. So depending on where we are or who we're surrounded with, here it's easy to recite the Nembutsu, call and response kind of thing. But if you're somewhere else, at home, at the restaurant or something, maybe a little bit hesitant, wondering who's looking, who can hear and things like this. So we have this hesitation and we have doubt as to how it might function. Okay? So all of these are barriers for entrusting to occur. And these barriers come from our ego. Okay? So Professor Unno explains it in this way. He said, the difficulty of true entrusting in the Nembutsu is due to self-enclosure, the powerful urge of the ego self to shield and protect itself. So we have our ego-centeredness, and this ego controls our lives, our thinking. Okay? And it wants to keep that control over ourselves. So it's kind of like this power struggle going on between letting go and having entrusting occur, and the ego trying to maintain its control over our lives. Okay. So this is what it is saying in this quote: the genuine difficulty is true and trusting. So these are the teachings that Shinran Shonin brought to us, the Nembutsu teachings, and to recite the Nembutsu, and then to entrust in the Nembutsu. And then there's this struggle that occurs with our own ego-centered self and our letting go of our efforts and allowing the Nembutsu, infinite reality, to come in. Shinran Shonin was born in 1173 in Kyoto, Japan, and his childhood name was Matsuwaka Maro. And during his time, when he was young, it was a real difficult time in Japan. They had famines and plagues, fires and windstorms, and all these things were occurring during his youth. And so the city would be ravaged because of all these things. And many people died because of the conditions that were so severe. So when we look at the news today, we see a lot of these types of things happening, wars over here, over there, maybe brutality in the streets, and we have weather concerns. Some places have hurricanes, some have floods, some have earthquakes, tsunami, right? All these different things are affecting the places, the lives, and places where people live. So there's devastation and death. So we see this even here. It's not here in Alameda, but we see it on the news, and we're very much aware of this. So in Shinran Shonin's time and in his world, he had such very horrific suffering and sadness very close at hand. Okay, when I was in Japan to study, I used to go along the Kamo River and Central River that runs through Kyoto, and I would run along the river. It's nice. They have a path. It's manicured, but during Shinran Shonin's day, it was not so clear with an asphalt running path or something like that, right? And so sometimes you might see bodies floating down the river just because they had passed, or they're retrieving bodies and they might be stacked alongside the bank and not having the time for a burial service yet, okay? So these kind of scenes were not that uncommon. So this sense of impermanence and the sense of life is suffering, very, very real for Shinran Shonin. So he went, his uncle took him to Shoden-in temple. It's a Tendai temple. And if he would become a monk, at least he would be safe. He would have food, he could study, and those things were not so guaranteed if he remained at home with his family. So he was happy that this would happen. He wanted this very much, just not only to be secure, but to be able to learn and study. So to go to a monastery is your opportunity. It's like you are staying at a boarding school or something like this, okay? So one of the very well-known stories is when he first went, the evening of his being taken into Shoden-in temple, and the monks there met his uncle and little Shinran, and it was getting late in the evening. So he told them, the monk told the party, so we can have you go through and receive your Tokudo ordination, but we should probably wait and prepare for tomorrow. And Shinran Shonin is said to have composed a poem there. I have a couple of translations, and one of them says, "Cherry blossoms that are felt to last till the morrow may well blow away during the night." And another translation, "The cherry blossoms we assume we will see in the morning may be scattered in the storm of night." Okay. So we have very pretty cherry blossom, symbolic of life, of our lives. Very delicate blossoms, color of skin sometimes, okay? And they're so delicate, you don't know, just a windstorm comes, something comes, and all the blossoms float away. And so this sense of, this is what our lives are about. We don't know what's going to happen overnight, over just a little bit of time. So he's telling the elder monks that I'd rather do it right now, not wait till tomorrow. So they were impressed with his little poem, and so they decided to have his Tokudo ceremony right then and there in the darkness of the night. So with this beginning, it is said that he began his study in monkhood at Shoden-in and Mount Hiei in Kyoto. Okay. So then he was on Mount Hiei for 20 years studying, and he became very well known as a very dedicated and capable student. So he got a lot of praise during his study, and he thought he's doing very well. After 10 years of dedication, he was sensing that he's not getting any further along. You know, he understood the sense of his ego-centeredness, his attachments to things, and it was not any less diminished than when he first started. After 10 years of study and training, he could tell his ego-centeredness was still there. Other monks were there, and you know, they might be well accomplished, but something might be distracting. Maybe lay people walking through the woods, a woman going through the woods, and they would notice right away because they are attracted to this woman, right? And so he sees that in the other monks, he feels that in himself. So his self-centeredness, his ego, his attachments to life and desires are all still there. So he was getting concerned. He went on a 100-day meditation, and it is said that at the end of that 100 days, he had a vision. And in that vision, he heard voice telling him that he has 10 more years. So all the more he thought that meant he had 10 more years to live. And so all the more he became more dedicated. He said, I'm running out of time. And so he, all the more trying to study, trying to learn, trying to figure things out. And during that time, his time is going away. He's getting closer to the end of that second 10 years. He's thought he's going to die. And so he's wondering what else he could do, And some of his fellow monks, why don't you go visit Gotan E Shonin, who was teaching nearby. Okay, so Gotan E Shonin is 40 years older than Shinran, teacher. He was part of Mount Hiei and known throughout. He was a scholar among all the scholars, but he came to understand his Nembutsu only teachings. Just recite the Nembutsu. And he started to teach this to students. And because of this, it was different than the Tendai teachings that they were teaching on Mount Hiei. So he was dismissed, banished, right? And so for Shinran to look for him, others are saying, maybe you should talk to Gotan E Shonin. But he's hesitant, right? What if someone sees me with Gotan, right? It's kind of like a shame to go to a teacher who is no longer acknowledged. So he had hesitation and he didn't want to go. Maybe he shouldn't go. Maybe he should sneak in there and just, very, very hesitant. And finally he went in, he was let in, went in with his friend. And as they see the group of people there, they're not just monks listening to their teacher. There's all kinds of people. Peasants from the village had come up. Women were sitting there listening to his teachings of the Nembutsu. People with lepers, sitting in the corner. People didn't want to sit next to them, but they were welcome too. And he was sitting among all these people, common people, and they're all kind of mumbling, Namanda, Namanda. And he could hear this all along. And this was not common in his regular classes and meditation sessions on Mount Hiei. So different type of approach, Gotan E Shonin teaching about the Nembutsu. And so he went again and again and met Gotan and had many, many questions for Gotan and sat with him, became one of his disciples, asked all these questions, and all his questions were resolved. So he felt comfortable with what Gotan was teaching. Thereafter, later, he kind of distilled the Nembutsu teachings. So there's a distinction between what Gotan taught and what Shinran taught. But the seeds of that, he always had admiration for Gotan E Shonin, and he always tells people that he doesn't have a single disciple, and he's only sharing what he has learned from Gotan, Master Gotan. Okay. One of his quotes, he's always very, very humble, and one of his quotes, what have I taught that I am to be called a teacher? Since everyone is a disciple of Alameda Buddha, we're all fellow practicers. So he doesn't say, I learned this, listen to me. Right? And you see this in how our altar is set up. Central figure is Alameda, right? Not Shinran. Shinran sitting quietly over here to the side. And so he doesn't want the attention of the big shot of the temple saying, it was me, it's me, you guys. Send all your money to my family, it was me, right? No, he sits quietly, and we reference Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, not Namo Shinran Shonin, Namo Amida Butsu, right? And so I think this humility that he carries in his writings and how the whole temple is set up certainly impacts me, and I want to share this as it, like to see that it impacts you as well. So these are key points of Shinran's life that I wanted to share today. And Gotan E, it's a time to reflect upon the life of Shinran Shonin and then to reflect upon our own lives. Okay, Buddhism is about self-examination, to know ourselves, to recognize our ego-centeredness, and then to go beyond this. Okay. Please join me in Gassho, and I'll read this quote again. For the foolish and ignorant who are ever sinking in birth and death, the multitude turning in transmigration, it is not attainment of unexcelled, incomparable fruit of enlightenment that is difficult. The genuine difficulty is true and trusting. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei. It's always refreshing to hear that story and remember that back in the day, religious practice wasn't open to us normal lay people, and that with Shinran and Honen we were able to now share all of this with everyone here today and anyone who's interested in hearing more about the Dharma. So it was very different then, and sometimes we don't really take that, we take that for granted. Anyway, yeah, thanks again, Sensei. Please stand for Gatha Ondoksan, page 220. Please be seated. Thank you for attending this morning's service. Thank you, Reverend Dennis, for your Dharma message and for the support we get for our offerings of flowers, the YouTube, and your being here, your presence. Do we have any announcements? I have a few, but anyone else have something before I get into this? All right. So, well, I'll start with today. Unfortunately, we may not have our coffee hour or coffee after service because we have another special service soon afterwards that we'll be preparing for. There's no service next weekend on Sunday for Memorial Day because we will do our annual cemetery visits, and if you have family members that are local, Reverend Dennis might be doing a service at Chapel of the Chimes in Oakland and Hayward. Let's see, so we may not see you till June 2nd, Jun Shosuke Memorial Service at 10 a.m. There's an Agma meeting immediately after the service, not before. And then on the following Sunday, June 9th, we have our graduation service for Dharma School kids. And let's see, it's our birthday Sunday. It's also our diversity service that we'll have on that day. As most of you know, we have our bazaar coming up. I've probably approached many of you to ask for help, but we will need as much help as possible. Probably starting on the 15th when we do construction of the booths outside. And most of you are on my email list, but if you're not and you'd like to help, please come up and let me know. We'll be doing lots of food prep the Friday or Saturday before the event, which is on the 23rd. Let's see. Any other announcements? Any new visitors? Okay.
We usually have Ask Reverend Dennis.
Oh, today.
And I could do a real short one.
Okay.
Dad looks at, hurry up, Sensei.
I know.
So, yeah, last Sunday of the month we had Ask Reverend Dennis, and I'm not going to field questions, but the setting is a little bit different, and we can utilize this to learn something here at the temple. The Uchishiki, these triangular cloths, we have different ones, colorful ones for different major services throughout the year, and the white one is put out for our funeral services. And we are very fortunate here in Alameda to have the very nice white uchishiki, and some temples are not so, do not have these. So they have their colorful ones for major services, and they turn it backwards. So the plain white underneath shows, and they use that for their funeral services. Now, this is one of the differences that we have, and we're very much able to utilize these for our families. And another thing I wanted to point out is for today, Gotan E. When you look at the kanji of Gotan E, the Go is honorific, so something honorable and special. And the E is gathering, but the Tan means birthday, right? Like Tanjobi means birthday in Japanese, okay? But it was pointed out by one of our senseis, but the original kanji for Tan, it means a fake or a lie or an exaggeration, okay? So in the sense that maybe the people who originated these kanji to look at this life, like we were talking about, this life of ego is fake and a lie. If we want to move beyond this realm of life to an awakened realm of life, okay? So all the attachments and ego-centeredness of life is not real. So this is the sense that the kanji of Tan, although it means just birthday and a happy occasion, it's a little bit deeper if you look at it a little bit deeper, and you might see connections to the Buddhist perspective when you look at that. Okay. I thought that was very interesting. I wanted to share that with you. Okay, very good. Thank you. Please come up and Oshoko. Are we okay?